Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. Folks, it is just beautiful out here now in Portland, Oregon. Sun shining, there's shade all over the place. In fact, I posted it that way. I said, hey, Portland, Oregon, the shade, the sun, sitting on my deck. Awesome.
The beer, the women.
Oh, gee. Oh, well. And as you can see, my guest is already jumping into the floor here at this piece. I got Fred Stewart with me today. You've seen Fred here before. And I got Theresa DuPay, and her husband is sitting down there. He's going to be evaluating us to figure out whether or not we're doing a good job. But that's the second half hour of the show. The first half hour we're going to do, and I got Fred and Theresa here now. I had a golden opportunity the other day to get both of them involved in one of my sharing with one of my friend follower type deal, and it was all about the opportunity to really put the President Trump on the table for a change, the back and forth routine. It was awesome. And so I'm going to share that with you today. I've got two guests here. At times I may have to be the advocate on the other side of the coin, but the fact of the matter is, I think there was a lot that was being discussed there that I thought would be of interest to the viewing audience.
The debate on Facebook.
I thought it was great. And I got Theresa DuPay. You've seen Theresa before. And so we're going to have that discussion the first half hour. The second half hour, we're going to talk about the shooting at Portland State University, downtown Portland, Oregon, and they just recently hired police officers and gave them guns, if you will.
Well, they didn't recently hire them. These are people they've had for a while.
No, Fred, remember that night, but that's okay, no problem. But the bottom line, that's the show. Don DuPay is going to join us because he is a former Portland police person here in the city of Portland, and in fact, he was the first guy, as far as I'm concerned, on our show that said, pointed up, we asked him about that. We had that discussion, and Don said, under no circumstances should they have any guns.
Yeah.
They don't have the background.
Against it.
So we're going to have that discussion, and Fred's going to join us with that discussion.
And by the way, I agree with him.
Well, like I said, you say that on the show now. Okay. He may not agree with you, what you said, depending upon what you say. Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, folks, now you get it. Now you can understand. You're going to have some fun on the show. I got the best, if you will, of interviewers here, of co-hosts. And by the way, each one of these guys is going to probably be hosting one with the other. So we're going to come up with a whole new format. We're going to really get the thing and deal with the issues, because that's really what it's about here in the city of Portland, in the state of Oregon. In fact, in the state of Oregon, there's the wealthiest, and I've got the guy that will say okay on this piece. The most wealthiest, the wealthiest property in the state of Oregon is sitting up here in northeast Portland, in a gentrified area, so to speak. Huh? In terms of numbers, you know.
Oh, numbers, I get it.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. That's another show, by the way. And Fred's he's right in the middle of it. I just happen to have a deck. That's all. Okay, with that, why don't we jump on this deal? Well, like I said, the whole idea is, as I indicated to you before, there was this discussion, and there was sort of like a debate kind of a routine. And it was about President Trump.
Yeah.
It was about President Trump. And, and there's been a lot of talk about the fact once he got elected president of these United States, is all of a sudden, and I'm just throwing some stuff out there, all of a sudden, media shifted. All of a sudden, it was President Trump and CNN. And no one else was there. The Democratic Party basically had not fielded, if you will, their president yet. I mean, it's kind of like CNN is like there's a debate. There's a debate between the President Trump and
talking
CNN.
about right now?
Like right now, that's where it's at.
Well,
okay, let's go.
The presidential season cycle for selecting a new president won't start until the day after the next midterm elections.
Really?
Yeah, so there's no reason. I mean, Barack Obama came out in March, I think if my memory was correct, of 2007. No, not even 2007. It was 2007. That shows you that was after the midterms that he was coming out and running for president. So there's a lot of Democrats probably thinking about doing it and planning on doing it, and Republicans too. Because I do feel the Republicans are going to have several challengers come out for Donald Trump. I mean, even if you think you're going to lose, if you're trying to advance yourself politically, you want to take this, this monster on. So I think, and I think that's why Mitt Romney
Why
ran
you
for
call him
Senate.
a monster?
Well, I'm not saying a monster in a negative, like he's, a monster itself, but he is a monster when it comes to political machine.
Which means
He's winning left and right.
okay.
He's got a lot more support than I think a lot of people will give him credit for. He's had a couple more successes than people, will give him credit for.
Okay.
And, frankly, he feeds into the apathy a lot of Americans, both left and right, have about politics.
Okay, that's your up front. Let's give Theresa a chance. Jump in, T. What do you think?
About Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's more unpopular now than ever because of the situation with separating families, migrant families from their children.
That's the recent piece, right?
Right. But, I don't know. I mean, he's just so objectionable in so many ways morally that it's galvanized. I mean, people are talking on Facebook about a civil war happening between liberals and conservatives, and it's just really ugly. I can't remember a time in my life when I've ever witnessed this kind of situation happening with politics. It's just so ugly.
I remember it.
Do you?
2010.
Okay.
The Affordable Care Act. There were people talking about having a civil war then.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
there were people saying, hey, but it was reversed. It was the conservatives and the progressives had the momentum because, we had, Barack Obama, but we also had some momentum on some good policy, necessary policy, that we failed to come through with. And that's the difference between Donald Trump and the Republicans today. They didn't make that mistake. We had so much infighting in the progressive side of the table because everybody wanted to get their cut around this ingenue, Barack Obama. They wanted their time in history. That's what people forget, that the Democrats did not get in lockstep behind Barack Obama when they had the House and the Senate. Mm-hmm. They didn't.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Racist white folks, and we got racist white folks in the liberal side of the table too.
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, you understand? I mean, we blew a lot of opportunities in 2009 and 2010
With Barack Obama.
with Barack
he
Obama,
was the first
and
that-
then
but he was
we
first
allowed
black.
the racists in the South and the racists in the East to take over both the House and the Senate.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, you understand? I mean, us Democrats and the Republicans that are watching this are laughing their ass off at me right now. But us Democrats blown so many important opportunities. That's why guys like me wish that Pelosi and all these old Democrats would just melt away or die away.
You got to watch yourself on that. I mean, you got to watch.
No.
Use the word old.
No, they're old.
Watch this old.
They're
stuff
old.
Here. Now Don is sitting here.
No, they're old.
I realize you're
They're young
caring.
to him.
I realize he's caring too, Don. You know what I'm saying?
Because he's old. Because he's older than Pelosi.
Who's older than-
Pelosi's pretty old.
Yeah, she's like 79.
All right, well, let's get off this age
You know.
thing because it kind of impacts me a little bit too.
If you want to talk about things that are important, things that
Yeah.
I think about,
Yeah.
and it may sound paranoid, but really the fact is the Russians, Putin, they're not our friend. And we can't forget that the Russian influence on this election was very, very strong, and they used social media, they used Facebook as a way of manipulating people and causing a lot of strife and disagreement. And that's a fact. I've researched that.
Well,
I mean,
See, and I agree, but the thing is, I think Russians have done this before, and I think we've done it to them. I think one of the reasons why people forget how Putin's rise to power. I think we had something to do with, with that.
him being there.
I mean, at that level of politics, the way things are manipulated is beyond what I think most people give credit for.
yeah, I would agree.
I think Putin is where he's at because we helped him get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Yeltsin got to where he was at before him because we helped him get there.
Yeah.
You understand? And I think we had a hand of that. And I think it's just come around and bit us back, through social media. It's just cheaper to do now. Mm-hmm. Before it cost billions, now it costs millions.
Yeah.
And to a guy, to a government, that's nothing.
Well, tell me this. Do you think because of the timing aspect of this thing, all of a sudden we have more access to the information that we had today than we had in the past?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we got between
some
CNN and Fox, all of a sudden this stuff is thrown at us big time, and then we've got our own newspapers that we have every day, and you can Google everything. Mm-hmm. So you can Google that history aspect of it. So now we're at the front. We're not at the table, but we got access to the history
Bruce,
aspect.
I feel half of everything in local media and half, maybe even 60% in national media is flat lies and propaganda.
Okay, all right.
Only 50% in Portland. And you gotta remember, I'm one of these guys literally studying local journalists as individuals.
Yeah.
You understand? Literally. Half of what they give us politically is propaganda or straight up lies.
I would agree with that.
Half. The other half is true, but in this market and time, how do you tell what is actually truth
Yep.
and actually,
Yeah.
lies? And then there's a lot of stuff they just flat don't report on, period.
Yeah.
They just don't. There's an argument right now going on, a story that Nigel wants to write. Yeah, Nigel, I know about that story. There's an argument right now that they want to write.
We want to know what you talking
There's a
about?
story about a particular politician.
Which
and
politician
it means
you talking
nothing,
about?
but we're
Which
not bringing this
politician
up.
you talking about?
I'll tell you guys off air. But what I'm going to tell you is the story.
Fred, you're forgetting where you are.
I know where I'm at.
Oregon
The
Voters
story
Host Bruce Boucher.
that he's working on right now, it means nothing. It has no effect
That
on
sounds
their
familiar,
on the way they're doing their job, their effectiveness on the job.
Yeah.
It's bull.
Sure.
And there are people that don't want to publish it, but they're going to publish it because that's what they are.
Now wait a minute.
that's what they like to publish.
Now wait a
those
minute. Now
gotcha
you just can't
articles.
just leave. See, one thing we're not just insiders. We're out. We're.
I'm not going to tell you who it's about.
No, well, you
Who
already
it's on.
said. You said it's the Willamette Week we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's the one week.
And Nigel is he's the reporter, he's the
He's the
Pulitzer
head
Prize, he's
honcho.
the head
Yeah.
honcho there, that aspect of it. And it shows our interest. It opens up the eyes. Well, you read it because evidently
I don't read Willamette
I don't
Week.
read. I don't read. I don't really.
But you
wanna
got
read.
access to it.
The
Now you tell me-
the last
how do you-
article I read was their bogus article on that guy that was supposedly torturing his wife, that rich woman.
Oh,
you know.
John Bradley.
Yeah, that
That's
was
such
like I
bullshit.
read that and I was like, this is such baloney.
That was such a
Yeah.
bullshit. That was such a
Yeah.
bullshit
Yeah.
article. And it was on a
Yeah.
private citizen.
Right.
I tell everybody at the Oregonian had this journalist say, they go, you should not be digging in my wife's college years, because their wife was kind of like Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't. I go, well, why aren't you writing an article disputing what Willamette Week did to John Bradley?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If a private
And who's
citizen,
John? Who's John?
He's one of our most successful builders in Portland.
Okay.
Built a lot. He built the Adidas building both on Greeley
Okay.
and on MLK, the first
Okay.
retail, and a dozens of other buildings.
Yeah.
It-
The purpose of the John Bradley story was because Nigel Jacques wanted to fulfill his fondest desire, which is to get a wealthy white man who lives on the hill and make him look bad, because
Yeah.
there's nothing that excites him more than that.
But now remember
You
now,
know.
folks. That's what we live in today. That's what we live in. We got.
It's yellow journalism, though. It's
yellow
trash.
Right, but you can Google
know?
everybody. I can Google your name.
But Bruce,
I can
this
Google
is
Bruce's
a
name. I can
Bruce.
get it done.
This is a private citizen. He's
Right.
not running for office.
Right.
He's not a public
Hey,
figure.
wait a minute. No, wait
Yeah.
a minute. At times,
And hold it. He wrote a story that had basically some innuendos based off some so-called transcripts from the divorce and one source,
Right.
which is the ex-wife.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
If everybody was judged publicly by what their ex-wives, husbands, boyfriends,
Right.
girlfriends thought, oh my God. It's this crazy. And I can't believe a so-called Pulitzer Prize winning journalist
Yeah.
is going to write an article like that. No. I want Nigel to go ahead and publish this article, because we already know who in his family is going to have their lives exposed.
really.
Yeah, we already know who it is.
Are you in the publishing business now? I mean, what is it?
Getting into it slowly
Oh,
but
you are
surely.
getting into
Yeah,
it.
but
Oh.
the thing is, I'm not going to publish it. The thing is that there are people who own, they're journalists that want what I got.
Okay.
They just want it.
Really?
And I've said, well,
Tell us.
if he publishes that article that he's working on, I will go ahead and give you what you want, your sources, and then you can do what you want with it.
Really?
Yeah. No,
Fred has
if people
information.
He has
knew,
information.
Yeah, he
if
does.
people knew about the character, I'm talking about the personal
Well, now,
character.
we just don't want to just
hold
just
it.
spend our time
Of the
on
people
Willamette
who
Week
are in our
aspect of it.
journalist community, we do
Yeah.
have some incredible people.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
We have some
I know.
people.
I know one too.
We have some people that are incredible.
Yeah.
They are what you would assume a person in that profession to be. You understand? There's not many of them, but they're there.
Yeah.
And then we got others. I'm not going to mention their names, and they're just low.
Yeah,
but the problem
Steve
is
Dean comes to mind.
they're not just low at work.
Yeah.
When you go home, they're low at home. When you go
Right.
into their college years
Right.
and their military years,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah.
It's like you find more crap.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, journalists are public figures.
Yep,
And this is
yeah.
why you can tell how dirty these guys are. If you are a journalist and you get a byline, you got your name on a column, you are now officially a public figure. The other newspapers know about this person's habits and their history. They don't write articles about it.
Right. Right.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And some of this stuff makes Harvey Weinstein look like an angel.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Some of it would make Harvey would look over at a couple of our journalists and go, damn, I always tried to be like you. I just, too fat to pull it off. I just was too fat to pull. The girls could run too fast. You know what I mean? And these guys crack me up. And then they write articles, and then your average person in Portland. So this is why I do what I do. It drives me nuts that people I love trust you. Trust how you are. I mean, Willamette Week did business with Backpage.
Backpage.com.
You know how many Portland
Right.
girls?
Yeah.
What is Backpage?
Backpage was a online service like Craigslist
Yeah.
that was developed specifically to support sex traffickers finding customers for their victims.
Fred and I wrote an article about it. It's
Yeah.
available on Fred's website and on my website.
Willamette Week did business with them. It was one of their best portals
Yeah.
in the Northwest.
Right.
And the Attorney General of Oregon owns half of it.
Yeah.
You understand?
What are you talking about?
In other words, while our Attorney General goes
wait.
to work chasing so-called criminals,
Yeah.
her business, her husband was running a business where criminals was using it to find Johns for their underage and sometimes above age women and children to rape and molest.
Gee whiz, Fred,
Yeah.
that's true. Well, you got First Amendment right again.
No, it's nothing to do with First Amendment. Rape is not a First Amendment right.
No, but I'm just saying
Molesting
we're talking
children
about journalism today.
is
Yeah.
not a
And
First
we're
Amendment
talking
right.
about journalism today. In
Yeah.
all due respect, I agree with you. The fact of the matter is they tend to have the power base aspect.
To avoid a civil war, all we need is some people to start going after some of these bad journalists and just, shoot them. Don't shoot each other.
Well,
Don't shoot each other.
Well, we can't espouse
No,
violence.
you can,
I'm not espousing violence. It's not violent.
No.
Don't shoot them with bullets.
Hold for a second. Hold on.
Shoot 'em with
Now,
articles.
Shoot them with articles and
Wait a
kindness.
minute.
Yeah.
There's a whole new definition of the Civil War aspect. That we're
Yeah.
in it. We're in
We
it
don't need a
now.
Civil War.
We're not shooting anything. We're just
Right.
the bottom line.
No, but Bruce, the bottom line is our media, our press today, journalism today has caused more.
We got to get back to the
I know,
basics.
but more of the problems and conflicts we've got politically.
Okay.
Because
I
your
appreciate
average
it.
citizen, whether they're right or left,
Yeah, I agree.
do
with that.
not necessarily understand what the truth is until
That's
it's almost
true.
too late.
And the average citizen believes what Willamette Week writes. I mean, if you want to look at
Or
the
the
comments,
Oregonian, or
they believe
Newsweek.
these articles. They don't have any powers of discerning what the truth from fiction. I mean, it's pretty sad.
But we're brought up to believe our journalists, and this is what I told one of the
Yeah.
journalists who's upset with me right now for following his Girls Gone Wild wife around. I said, look, you got to understand something. You are in a profession where my friends and family and your friends are family. We're assuming the best of you.
Right.
We assume that you've done the research.
Yeah.
We assume that you've covered the sources.
Yeah.
We assume that you're given not necessarily an unbiased opinion, but at least an opinion based on some factual understanding. And that's not what you're delivering. I said, that's how we've been indoctrinated growing up. I grew up that way. I read something from you, I'm assuming you've done the work.
Yeah.
And what I find out about you is, I'm not going to say how bad it is just yet, but he doesn't always do the work. You understand what I'm talking about? So when
Yeah.
people read what he's got, he's a good writer.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
flows good.
yeah.
But what he's really delivering is innuendos, assumptions, and lies.
Right.
I mean, flat out lies.
Yeah.
And I said, how you sleep at night You understand? How you look at your family in the face. This could be why your wife's the way she is, which he got pissed off at. I don't give a damn. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I'm like, dude, you know, you are in a profession.
These are Fred's views. Then,
yeah, you're in a profession where people assume the best of you.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that.
You understand?
That's a fact.
And don't you feel the public deserves you to come through on that?
Yeah.
I mean, I do. You know what I mean? I feel when you read the newspaper, when you read any of these things, I ain't saying they're right. These are humans. They're making.
They are still human. You're right.
Yeah.
Human.
But to intentionally mislead. You understand? That's evil.
Yeah.
And he says, well, it's the freedom of the press. I said, the freedom of the press is only from the government. Benjamin Franklin specifically, if you read the summaries, wanted you guys to be subject to the public. In other words, the government doesn't do anything to impede the press.
Right.
The government can't. It shouldn't.
Well, now it does.
Yeah. And it shouldn't.
Now it does.
Now it does.
President Trump.
Trump does.
I wanted to say one
Trump
thing.
has crossed that line.
Yeah, he's crossed that line. Big time.
I wanted to say one thing. We've only got a few more minutes before the first half is over. But
Let me shut up.
last week, I got into a huge debate on Facebook with the radical extremist followers.
I posted
of Joey Gibson, the white supremacist Joey Gibson of Patriot Prayer. And it was kind of an interesting experience. His followers claim that they're not racist, but they are, because most of his followers are white supremacists and white nationalists. He's tried to. Joey Gibson is 35 years old. He's a high school dropout.
Half Asian.
He's half Japanese. He attended some college, didn't graduate. He was just recently fired from his job as a real estate broker sometime a few months ago.
You can't get fired from a real estate broker.
Fred,
well, he was fired from the firm that he was working for because of his involvement with I don't know, Patriot Prayer. But anyway, we got into a really wild debate, because he came to Portland, and I was really angry because of the recent protest and all of the violence that happened. Patriot Prayer is not really interested in freedom of speech. They're not interested in protecting the Constitution or helping citizens understand the Constitution better. They're a violent organization. Their agenda is violence. And what was interesting to me was when I was watching the news later that day, a couple weeks ago, when they came to Portland and there was the big fight and all the violence, was Joey Gibson was making a statement. And he was talking, into a microphone. He lifted up his left arm, and he had a bunch of healing scabs all over the side of his left wrist and his left arm. And I've done some research, he's a very violent person. He's constantly getting in fights. He has a drinking problem. And it's just, and I got angry during this debate because my attitude was, don't come to Portland. We don't need you. He lives over in Vancouver somewhere. Stay over there. Stay in your own territory. Don't come to Portland just to incite violence with Antifa or whoever, because we don't need that in Portland. We have our own problems.
So how come the organization is not writing more about him?
I don't know, but he's definitely a radical. He's
getting
a radical.
ready to run for, I think, either
he's
Congress
running
or
for Senate. He's running for Senate. That's the other thing. He has no money. He has no background. He doesn't stand, as I love to say, a snowball's chance in hell of winning. And it's going to just be really interesting. But that's another symptom of the divide between progressives and conservatives in America because of Trump. Trump has made racism okay. Trump has made hatred okay. Trump he appeals to the lower mentality of blue collar, working class white folks who don't know any better. And Joey Gibson is a symptom of that.
But then he was elected though by the majority.
Who?
No, he hasn't been elected.
No, I'm talking about
Trump.
I'm talking about Donald Trump.
He lost by 3 million votes.
No, but I'm just saying.
He lost the majority, but he clearly won the election.
He's the president of the United States. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And my point is that people voted for him. I mean, even in the electoral college, we know about this whole peace aspect of it. But the fact of it, that's why we're having this discussion. You got me. And to a certain degree, we needed that discussion.
Well, it was
at this point in time.
To me, it was that old thing going back to Nixon, the silent majority. That he talked about, because a lot of people in '68, they were even though what's his name was assassinated, they were surprised still Nixon beat, what was it, Humphrey in '68? I mean, they were surprised that he I mean, not as surprised as with Trump, but still. And what did Nixon tell everybody? It's a silent majority. There is a group of Americans out there who are not very vocal. They don't write to editors. They don't go to rallies.
Right.
They live their lives, and then they vote. And when they vote conservative.
Yeah.
And I think we've got that group out there, and I feel Donald Trump has inspired that group. And among that group is a pretty healthy population of white supremacists. I'm not saying they're all white supremacists, but there is a healthy population, and they love Trump. And I think, if anything, Trump has gotten more popular. Now, the people who didn't vote for him, like me, and we hate him even more. We dislike him even more. But
he's pretty hated. He's pretty hated.
But I think it's a 50-50 shot, and I think when it comes to running, I think if the election was held today, he'd win again.
Like I said, we needed the discussion.
Yeah.
Trust me.
He'd win again.
There are a number of issues that are on the table right now that we need to discuss.
The other thing is, it was a wake-up call for the millennials.
Yeah.
Get out and vote, millennials. Stop being lazy. Get out and vote.
Yeah,
because everyone thought Hillary was going to win, so they just didn't get around to voting.
Well, not just that. I think a lot of millennials didn't like Hillary.
Yeah.
I think a lot of millennials didn't quite understand Bernie.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem is the negatives of Hillary Clinton. I think Bill and Hillary Clinton did a very good job building up their negatives. They had great assistance from the right.
Yeah.
But they didn't do themselves any favors. And then when they did what they did to Bernie Sanders, I think there's a lot of Democrats that just said, I am not voting this time.
Yeah.
I'm not. She's crooked.
Yeah.
Look what she did to Bernie.
Exactly.
And they just said,
look at what they did to the blacks.
Hey, well,
huge.
Well, hey,
as far as the young blacks.
But hey, look what's going on. How many black people are coming out supporting Trump now? That's the weird dichotomy. I talk about this on Facebook, and I go, guys, you know why so many black people are supporting Trump? It goes back to what he said in North Milwaukee in August of 2016. Remember when they had the riots? And he said, he was in North Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he goes, look, guys, you guys have been voting Democrat in this area for 50 years. Now, anybody who's been to North Milwaukee, it sucks. It's a ghetto.
It's anywhere.
We've had nothing like this here, right? He said, what did he say? Yeah. Give me a shot. Yeah, you voted Democrat. And I go, guys, Jeff Merkley, who I like, is thinking about running for Senate. I go, guys, think about it. You're going to have Jeff Merkley sitting across from Donald Trump. And I bet Donald Trump's going to have more black people in his BlackBerry than Jeff Merkley. I said, Jeff Merkley has done squat for black people in Oregon.
That's right.
Like nothing at all. He's done nothing for minorities.
That's right.
He's a nice guy. I've known Jeff for 25 years. Jeff's a nice guy. But he's done nothing for minorities. No. And he's going to go up against Donald Trump, who's a flat-out racist.
No, he's not going to run.
But I'm just saying, this is how complicated this stuff
Trump's
is.
Trump's not going to run?
No, I'm talking Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berkeley?
No, this is how complicated it is. You got a straight-up racist white guy, Donald Trump.
Right.
He's going to sit across a progressive. And he's going to say, you know what? I hate Negroes, but I've done more for them than you have. And he won't be lying. And he hasn't done much. That's another thing. It's not like there's this long list of things that Trump has done for black people. The list is like this high, but it's higher than the progressives. And that's what's so sad about today's politics.
Okay. Yeah. Well, as you can see, folks, we're going to have some interesting discussions. We're going to be getting into the general election. It's going to be awesome. As you can see, you've got a sort of a feel of some of the hosts that's going to be happening here on the Oregon Voters Digest. I got two people here that I've interviewed. They look pretty good. They got about 90%. They still got to hit that other threshold of the other 10%. That's pretty good. But again, like I said, these are the kind of discussions that we need to have.
Yeah.
You got me. It's very interesting. And as far as Joy is concerned, I had him on the show before, and I'll invite him back. I'll invite him to. I'll invite him.
Gibson.
I'll invite him to kind of. He's running for office. Anybody can follow.
Lose.
Anybody can follow him. You know what I mean? I mean, how many times I've run him? All due respect.
His followers are crazy.
Okay, all right.
They threatened me. They're nuts.
So as you can see, we're gonna have some really interesting shows. So
don't worry.
Fred's good.
You tell them if they hurt you, I'll hunt them down.
What we're gonna
I'll
do?
kill their mothers first.
All right, okay.
And their dogs.
All right.
And then I will kill them.
Okay, we're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back. Thanks, Fred.
You are watching Oregon Voters Digest. This program can be seen again on these channels on these dates and times. Tell a friend.
Welcome back, folks. As you can see, we had a lively show today. Especially we got Fred tonight. I mean, here I'm interviewing you guys. I'm interviewing you and I'm interviewing Theresa to be probably a talk show, and Fred's taking the lead. You got to pick it up now.
Yep,
Don.
you got to pick it up.
You got to pick it up, Don. You got to pick it up. Well, we're going to talk about this particular segment. We're going to talk about the shooting here in Portland, Oregon. In Portland, Oregon, at one of our city colleges, Portland State University. And there was a shooting not too long ago, and I'm not going to get too heavily involved in the piece, but bottom line is that, and by the way, the guy was a Navy vet that was shot. Yeah. He had a concealed weapons permit aspect of it, and as Fred said, we started out by basically saying that he was trying to stop a fight, blah 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 routine, but he was black, one, and two, he dropped his revolver and he picked it up. But then it's my understanding that I heard the video piece. I guess some way when they said that they shouted out, said don't pick up the gun or something to that effect. But my point is that they shot the guy. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't have to shoot him.
Okay, so let's get in this. Okay, let's open it up. Don, you were former Portland police. You've been here before. We talked about this stuff. You said something. In fact, you were going to Portland State at that point in time to get your degree. And you said, we talked about this whole piece. Let's take it from there. Go on.
Well, they've had guns on campus since, I've been talking about since 2015. Mm-hmm. And in 2015, I was a student there. And there was a lot of discussion from the students and the faculty about putting guns on campus and how stupid it was.
Right.
So what happened was that the board of directors of the college and Philip Zerzan, Z-E-R-Z-A-N, he was the head of security at PSU, former Oregon State policeman, mostly interested in building a resume, I always thought. Mm-hmm. So they decided that guns on campus would be the best thing. And Wim Vival, who was the president of PSU at the time, I just have to call him Wim Weasel because he's a weasel. So now Wim Weasel and Philip Zerzan are both gone. Zerzan is retired. Weasel is up as the president of Lewis and Clark College, and they've left this mess. They've left this mess.
What's the mess?
The mess is they have these guns on campus now. That's the mess they left. Now neither one of them are there to deal with it. We've got some poor guy who got shot and killed, and in the video, didn't I hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
There were several shots.
Several. He emptied the clip. So let's go back a ways here. Portland State University is really unique because there's no gate to the university. There's no place like Lewis and Clark says, welcome to the school, you're here now. It just happens to be in downtown Portland. And since it's in downtown Portland, it's no safer than any other place in downtown Portland. So just because you're on what they call campus, which is really a virtual campus because it's just part of downtown Portland on Broadway Street, anybody with a gun or a crazy person could go into Target, shoot people, go into the mall at Starbucks and shoot people. They can do the same thing at PSU because there's no security that keeps people off the campus. It's just part of the school, it's just part of the street.
So that was the discussion about.
That was the discussion. So now this has happened. People have been killed because of their bullshit. The only way that campus security ever made any sense to me was that it should be a student-operated organization. They should wear green blazers, gray slacks, have a little sign on it that says PSU Community Information Person, and they carry not guns but cell phones. If a student needs an escort, which the PSU does a lot of, they escort people. These students can do the same. If they see a crime or if they're informed of a crime, get on your cell phone and call the cops.
Portland Police?
Call the Portland Police. The other part of the problem I've always felt it was the Portland Police's fault to even allow another police department in that part of town.
Yeah.
You know, because when I was a cop, downtown area was District 7. Up that area was District 9. And if I'm the chief of police and you come to me and you say, I want another police department, I'm then going to say, you're not going to have another police department in District 7. That's my job. If you see a crime, you call me. I'll take care of it. Then the other argument used back in those days, in the 2015, was, well, OSSU has armed security. That's true, they do. But they're not downtown. If they have a problem, it takes a cop a while to get up to the top of the hill and get there. And they also are more than a school that teaches nurses and doctors. They're a hospital that deals with crazy people. So they need guns on their campus just because they're unique. Has nothing to do with PSU, downtown Portland, who's not teaching anything except good things to do. So the whole thing is wrong, and now it's a disaster. There's two things that can stop it. The university needs to get sued out of existence because of this. Sued. These people need to make it so, the victims need to make it so financially horrible for the university that they'll say, oh, well, this was really a bad idea. We're not going to do that anymore. That's one way to do it. The other way is for the university to shut itself down. The students and the faculty to say, no, we're not going to come anymore until you get rid of this. That's the only way we'll stop it. And in the meantime, these people are going to suffer. I can't imagine going back to school and worrying about getting shot by a university cop.
Talk about the shooting a little bit, Don.
Well,
the shooting itself.
I don't think the shooting was justified, but then again, I wasn't there. It was dark.
It wasn't justified.
I believe that it was not justified.
It was not justified.
And I think that either they should be prosecuted if a crime was committed, fired so there never cops anywhere ever again, and the university punished so they don't do that anymore. You know, you were a Marine, you know what happens when you forgive somebody a gun? The first thing they want to do is they want to shoot it. They want to shoot somebody with it.
Yeah, I know 35 years ago I wanted to go shoot people.
Sure you did.
I did.
That's what happens when you give somebody a gun.
I wanted to go to Lebanon
and hopefully to Christ you have the mental maturity not to do that when you're given that responsibility.
Fred, let me ask you a question. You've got a concealed weapon permit, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Lots of guns.
If you were sitting in that area, if that was you, and you were trying to prevent something, and then you dropped your revolver while you were trying to do this, would you have picked it up?
Well, hold it.
Let me ask you a couple
things.
Would you have picked it up?
Okay. Probably not, but maybe. It depends on. I think it was just an auto reflex.
I do too.
You understand? But I am, we're cognizant that we got cops here. I would not want them to feel that I was making any movements that was a threat. It's a high stress situation. But that doesn't relieve the cops. The guy never pointed the gun at the cops. Merely having a gun in your hand. If cops shot every concealed weapon holder who had a gun in their hand or a gun in their hip, when they're dealing with them, cops would be shooting 10 or 20 people a day. You understand? These cops were just trigger. A black guy with a gun in his hand in a situation like that is not automatically a threat. I mean, they could have not shot him. What several cops have told me is, why didn't they just, pig tackle him? You've seen cops do that all the time. They just bum rush him. Why didn't they scream first, don't grab it? Because I didn't hear that on the tape. Now, I've read accounts that said that the cops said that, but I've also read accounts from people on Facebook that said, no, the cops never said it. This is what investigations are for, to figure out which is... which is the truth. I don't know what the truth is yet, but it just seems odd to me.
Hey, understand? We got a shot of the video. We're gonna play it.
Okay.
Let's play it.
Let's play it.
Let's play it. Go on. Good one. We're gonna go on and show the video of the shooting at Portland State. Here it is right now. There you go, right there. Look like he's the only black guy. Oh, there's another one.
No, he's the lightest. He's the light skinned one.
She's videoing it.
Yeah, he's the light skinned one.
Oh, that's the fight. Oh,
yeah,
that's the fight.
That white guy needs to be charged with something. Or
that's the fight there. Oh no, he's pulling. That's where he's pulling.
Yeah, he's pulling his friend away. He's
pulling his friend. Pulling a white friend. See?
Yeah.
See, white friend.
But
black guy pulling a white guy.
Yes, but you got to remember, there was another guy that started the fight saying racial slurs.
Yeah, right.
I'm talking about the guy that did the racial slurs.
That's probably the camera that Gail was.
Yeah. The guy that started the fight should have a limited future right now in front of him.
Mm-hmm. There he is right there.
Yeah,
that's the guy he's been pulling.
He's pushing the guy back.
What was he saying?
What I heard
Racial
just
slur.
on Facebook is they said that he was trying to de-escalate the situation and he was trying to pull his friend away from...
No. He says racial slur. What was he saying? Was he talking to the black guy? Was he talking to...
He was talking to, I guess, the black guy, from what I've read on Facebook. I'm just repeating what I've read on Facebook. I haven't been there. I mean, I wasn't there when this happened.
Oh, I got you. Now that's where they're fighting. Was that look like? Is that a black guy he's fighting?
Yeah, he's fighting a black guy now.
Okay, so he was fighting a black guy. Okay, that was no shooting though.
Yeah, they didn't show the shooting. They stopped just before the shooting.
Oh, there it is, right there.
So there's his gun right there, in his pocket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a postal worker, and he works downtown. No wonder he has a gun.
Yes.
So his gun falls out. He's on the ground there, and he picks it up and he gets shot. Look, his back is to them. If you look at that, the last shot, his back is to the cops.
That was a very interesting piece. Okay, Don, let's react to it. What's up? You're the cop.
It's terrible what happened. They should never have shot him, that's for sure. Should never have guns. This should never have happened. So I don't know what to say past that. It should never.
The only thing I want to share with people is
real quick now. Come on.
Our cops live in a culture where there's guns present all the time.
Everybody's got guns.
Well, I know, but the thing is, these PSU cops, they're in an academic culture dealing with boyfriends and girlfriends arguing and drunk students and depressed. I mean, they're not in a culture where they're dealing with violence, all the time.
Yeah. But Don said downtown. Now remember, now he made the point.
But they're school cops. They're not cops.
Oh yeah, talking about the cops.
Yeah. Portland cops deal with violence.
That's right.
All the time. They deal with the threat of guns, knives, and everything else all the time, and that breeds a certain type of culture that handles that. Guys like when he was a cop,
that's what Don was saying.
You had to have as another cop, you had to have a certain way you carried yourself and dealt with situation, in order for an old cop like Don to trust you. You see what I'm talking about? I mean, because they dealt with this every day. I just tell people, I don't see where PSU needs a police department with what they deal with mostly, because 99.99999 stuff they deal with, you don't need a weapon, let alone a gun.
Escorts. They escort people.
Yeah. They escort people out of classrooms, into classrooms, dorm rooms. They deal with, how many people they deal with every day that are just depressed and I want to kill myself, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or somebody's mad at the professor. You know what I mean? They don't deal with the stuff that the cops deal with. I mean, the Portland cops deal with.
No business. They have no business being there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty outraged about it because...
Well, you know how many cops told me 4 or 5 years ago this was going to happen?
Me?
Yeah. You were one of them. You were like one of the first ones.
Yeah, we were right on the show.
Yeah.
We talked about the whole deal.
You said they're gonna regret doing this.
Somebody.
They're gonna shoot somebody.
But let's talk about. But again, now I'm gonna ask you this other question aspect of it. There has been a number of shootings here lately, even the Portland Police Department. I'm thinking about the homeless guy that was shot. About 10 guys or so, whatever, you know, and this guy was just carrying a knife, if you will. Remember the homeless guy? What's that deal? Was that justifiable?
You're talking about the one on Grand Avenue over there?
Yeah,
Was that justifiable?
The homeless shelter?
Don, was that justifiable? Just straight up.
I think there were too many policemen there, and they took the wrong solution. That's what I think. Seemed to me like, I don't know. I just see myself in the same situation in the old days, and I remember picking up a chair, and charging them, or picking up a mattress and charging them. It just, I don't know. It's just like we hated to shoot anybody.
Yeah, but you see, the mantra now with law enforcement is always to match force with overwhelming force.
Yeah.
So
A chair in the
that's
face
why
is pretty much overwhelming force.
when some guy threatens a cop with a knife or a gun or a bat, he's an idiot. Because the first protocol.
What are you saying? What do you?
Well, the police are going to respond with overwhelming force.
Which is,
hey, if there's 2 guys there, they're going to send 8. If there's 10 guys there,
I'm talking about the shooting.
Well, the shooting. I mean, the guy had a knife. He could have done some damage.
With 10 people there.
Hey, if a guy was standing in the studio with 1 gun and 1 bullet, and he's got the 4 of us here, he says, "I can only shoot 1 of you. Which one's going to be the first one to rush me?" You understand? Are you going to be that guy to rush the guy with the 1 bullet?
That wasn't the question.
No, but he has a knife.
No.
Which cop is going to get stabbed?
No, Fred. The guy has a knife.
Yes.
I'm just
a
saying.
good-sized knife, by the way.
Fred, the guy has a knife. So are you saying that if a little midget would have a knife, you'd sit up and shoot him regardless?
He was not a midget.
Not a midget. He's a crazy man.
I'm asking you, what would you have done?
Well, I'm 53. I don't get in fights anymore. I just shoot him.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get in fights anymore. I'm not a young buck like you. You know, who's always out ready to mix it up. You know, back when I was a youngin', but I'm an old guy right now. My bones are frail.
2 minutes. Okay.
So we're getting down short of time.
You know.
Well, the college is downtown.
I'm not getting my voice here. My mic is not working in the ear aspect of it. I'm sorry, Mike. I just can't get it as much as
I think the shooting at the homeless shelter is much different than the shooting at the Cheerful Tortoise.
10 minutes. Okay.
Only because, like I said before, those guys got panicked. The guy drops a gun.
We got another video. Now here's a video of another video.
Shelter.
Yeah.
The homeless shelter aspect of it. Okay, let's show that one. Okay, this is the other shooting. Thanks, Mike. That's the homeless shelter shooting. That's the one I was trying to talk to about. My point is we got an issue. We're talking about this issue. Okay, let's go. We got it. It's about 2 minutes.
Well, speed it up. I'm impatient.
And there we go.
And look at those beautiful hardwood floors.
Look at the guy in the blue jacket over there. Look like he's having some problems. That's the guy. That's the guy that's upset. Yeah, that's the guy right there. He's having an issue.
Probably just manic, unfortunately.
Oh, he sees the lights outside. He's Someone called him. Probably called the cops. And he's trying to put him in a chair to sit down. They told him to sit down, and he's looking. Everybody's going out. Everybody's out.
Time to leave.
He's got a knife in his hand. Is that a machete? Fred?
No.
Can't see it.
I don't think it was a machete, but it was a good-sized knife.
Knives always scared me.
The guy just seems scared to me.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't seem angry.
Well, he
to
sees
me.
the lights, and evidently somebody called him because he was probably...
Yeah, but still, I see fear with this guy, which makes me think that maybe he's having some sort of manic, situation.
Was he threatening himself, or what's the deal? Was he threatening suicide or something?
Well, he did stab himself.
He did?
He did, yeah. I heard I just read on the newspaper.
He stabbed himself in the neck.
Yeah, I noticed when he did that. He had the knife. So he's committed. Here comes the guys.
I wonder what he would have done had you know, let's say a doctor from one of our clinics, you know, mental.
Yeah. Oh, what about some of the guys that were sitting up there he had to have known someone that was sitting there. Oh, there he is right there. He fell on the floor. Now, what's the deal? Now, that's him on the floor. That's him on the floor.
I don't see him.
No, he's
I don't see him on the floor.
Remember the guy he was running in? So where is he now?
I know. I see a lot of chairs there.
There you see. There he is right there. See? That's him. That's him. He's still on the floor. Yeah, see how they're pointing there?
Yep.
Yeah, he's still on the floor. He fell. Yeah, you see? See? He was looking for him there. That's him there.
That's when they shot him?
I don't know. Maybe that was when they shot him. But anyway, now you get an idea that's the video of that particular shooting. Have they gotten the results yet?
I don't know.
Anything? Well, what's the result? Fred, have you heard anything about the results?
All I heard is that it was ruled a justifiable shoot. That's all I remember hearing in the news.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed the sheriff was involved. And I thought that was a kind of interesting piece.
Yeah,
I'd never known that the sheriff would be involved in this kind of
had
deal.
some
yeah.
officers there.
Yeah, maybe they had some officers there.
There's some officers
Yeah, they
there,
had some
right,
sheriff
he is
deputies there.
involved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember.
Well, like I said, I
You know,
guess
I haven't focused on that one as much, only because the guy did have a knife. He was threatening. You know, and you know, I've been in a knife fight. It's scary as hell.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been in a knife fight, but I've been in a knife fight, and being in a knife fight is every bit as scary, in my opinion, as being in a gunfight. As long as you don't get, and as long as you don't get shot right off the bat. I mean, a person with a knife can do an incredible amount of damage to the human body, and it is scary. And I'm very thankful that I got out of it.
Piece. Okay. Well, anyway, I wanted to bring that issue up. I think that was the issue. But then, what about the issue of the race piece? The race issue, going back to the Portland State?
Well, the Portland State shooting, the Portland police, almost 30 years ago, 27 years ago,
not Portland police. I'm talking about.
Well, no, they killed a black guy who was trying to break up a fight.
I know Stevens, right?
Yeah, Stevens. And now you got another black guy breaking up a fight, not a threat, not posing a threat. Yeah. He ends up getting shot this time by, a couple of white cops. I mean, the guy wasn't a threat to the cops. He wasn't aggressive toward anybody. He was holding off his friend. And what were they expecting? When he dropped the gun, they was going to pick it up and shoot them or shoot somebody else. This guy showed no animosity or threat to anybody. Wasn't a threat to the cops. So just because he has a gun in his hand, now look, if I'm with a cop, I'm weird about this, and he knows I got a weapon on me, and if he says, Fred, while we're doing interaction, I want you to hand me your weapon or put it on the ground or something, I don't mind doing that. I don't. I mean, I want to make a cop feel comfortable, and I see no reason not to comply. If I have nothing to hide, you know what I mean? But just because like I said before, just because a guy has a gun in his hand, like bending down, doesn't mean he's a threat to anybody. And these cops, the moment
who trained them, Don? You any idea?
I don't know.
What about Portland police? Are they going to be involved in this issue?
They're BPSD certified.
Was that?
They're Bureau of Peer Standards and Training certified, so they have that. They have to have gone to that school to
What
get
about
certified.
Portland police and the sheriff? Should they have signed off on that deal? Did they sign off on that deal?
They all go to the same school.
Okay, but I'm talking about the school.
But
But what about Portland police? As you say, they're allowing them to carry guns at Portland State, and in the sheriff's department. Did they sign off on the deal from the standpoint?
I don't think so.
They should have signed.
They didn't sign off on it.
PSU signed off on it because they're writing the checks.
Yeah. Didn't have nothing to do with it. Zuzan is the guy who.
Okay, so basically, Portland State just trying.
Portland State did it all by themselves.
Yeah.
And the Portland police didn't interfere, and they should have. Should never have allowed it.
No, I agree. I wish the Portland police had stepped in, but the Portland police is still stretched right now. If people understood that we roughly have the same number of cops that we had in 1970, but we've got about 35% more land mass and about 200,000, maybe 300,000 more people. I mean, we have a shortage of police officers in Portland, Oregon. We do.
Well, these guys are not candidates.
Obviously.
So let me reorganize PSU's campus security. I will make it a student organization. Nobody will get hurt. There won't be any guns on campus, and you will have nothing to be afraid of from campus security anymore.
What's the first step you'd
First
make?
thing is I closed down the office. I closed down PSU's. I'd close down the office and send them all home. Start over again.
Well, as you can see, we've been having quite a discussion here. That was something that was of interest. That's on the table right now.
In fact, I put a caution tape and wouldn't let them out of their office. That's a protest for you.
What about you, Fred? How would you deal with this deal? Had you been the spokesperson to resolve this issue?
I would take all the guns away from PSU, at least temporary, while they're doing the investigation, because part of their understanding is whether or not they're training their people.
Yep.
There's really nothing the city can do to stop a college like PSU from having armed guards, let alone armed security police. They got their own police department. But, you know, I would conduct a very thorough investigation and get down to the very end about what actually caused it, you know, and everything like that. And at least, at the very least, make recommendations for changes. You know, but these two cops, I think, they should be facing some prison time, because I honestly feel your average cop would not have shot this guy.
I believe that too.
And I believe also your average citizen would not have shot this guy. He just didn't do anything. He never got into a three-point stance or nothing. He drops his gun, and auto reflex, he reaches down for it, and he gets shot. That's just stupid.
You know, the other thing
Should people start shooting cops if they drop their guns? If a cop walks up to your car, drops his gun, does that give you the carte blanche to just go ahead and off that cop? No, it doesn't.
But if he's in civilian clothes and he doesn't say anything about the fact that he's a cop, what happens then?
Tough.
What if he's, again, at the same time, what if he's maybe he's
Sure,
Hispanic or
civilian
black
clothes,
or
you're in
whatever?
trouble. You know, I got beat up by street cops for arresting a guy when I was a kid. You know, when I was working Vice, they didn't know I was a cop. Give me back my gun, you idiot! I was mad.
And that's the point.
The first thing they did is they took my gun away from me and handcuffed me. Wait a minute.
Because, you know, if all due respect, I say, well, don't pick the gun up. He said, don't pick the gun up. And you might be a cop.
I had
and
a gun in my
you
pocket.
said, look, I'm a cop. He said, look, I'm a cop. But then you got these other individuals that are trying to pose themselves as cops. You never know what the deal is. So then the guy gets shot. So the rule, as I would say point blank, you just don't pick up a gun.
I agree.
You just don't pick up a gun. You know, hey, just leave
Can I
it.
just suggest that maybe
Real quick.
the tortoise is over-serving people? And they've had a history of over-serving
It's a
people.
college bar. I
It's a
mean,
college bar.
college
You don't
kids-
over-serve people. I don't care if you're a college bar or you're whatever bar. If you over-serve people, you're going to have drunk problems. You got a drunk problem that led to a killing across the street.
Yep.
If I was ULCC,
I close.
I'd be sitting
Don,
on
you
your
sound
door.
like my mom.
I'd be
and
sitting
my
on your
dad.
door.
All right, folks, this is it. Thanks very much. Been great. Have a good one. See you guys next week. Okay, folks, you got it. We'll see you next week. Take care.